Hello everyone, and welcome to this YouTube video. I thought today I would take a look at what I did to create the ebook cover for my new novel, Blade of Shadows, the second book in my Blades of Ruin epic fantasy series, which is doing quite well. Thank you for everyone for that. So what we'll do is we will turn off all the layers and then proceed through the cover layer by layer, and I'll show you what I did to create the cover. So as you can see, I do have all the layers turned off for the cover now, and we'll go through the layers one by one to see what I did. And as you can see in this, we had 26 total layers, so we've got a bit to cover. First up is what I usually do when doing a Photoshop project is the backfill layer. And that's just a black layer I drop on the background because then it makes it easier to see objects against it. And then I usually have that turned off in the final file before I export it to a JPEG. The next layer is this picture of a circle of standing stones in Scotland that I got from dreamstime.com, and this has sort of the atmosphere I wanted to evoke for Blade of Shadows, because if you read the book you will know that ancient tombs are a significant plot point. So that was what I wanted to have as the background to sort of evoke that atmosphere. This stock photo did have one problem. You'll see here how the aurora sort of bunches up on the left side of the picture and not the right side, which means if you look at it in thumbnail, it will appear somewhat lopsided. Fortunately, there was an easy fix for this. I duplicated the layer, and then using a layer mask, I erased the additional elements so that way it looks like the aurora is more evenly distributed across the sky. You can see I missed a spot with the menhir there, but since it was later covered up by the book, that wasn't a problem. The next layer is color lookup, which I use to adjust is a quick and easy way to adjust the background to night, because that makes it a little darker and less obvious, but it makes it easier for the foreground elements, and especially the title, to pop out all the brighter. The next layer is what I call author marquee, and that is the author name will be down there, and that slightly darkens the background there. You can see that it makes it a bit darker without obscuring the background, and that makes the author name pop a bit more. And I did the same with the title marquee above. You can see this opacity is only at 65%, which means that it doesn't totally block out the aurora, but we can still see it, but it's a bit darker, so the title will pop a bit more against that darker background. Next up is the book backglow, and that is just a white spot I put on with the brush tool that will appear behind the book and help make it pop out a bit better. This is another stock photo I have that is sort of a magic trails. It's sort of this fractal pattern that looks vaguely magical. And with some color balance, a bit of adjusted opacity, I put it in the background to help it make it look like the book is streaming magic. We have the first of our book layers here. And you can see that I adjusted the highlight and the contrast of the book to make it look a bit darker. And the reason for that will be when I apply the next layer, where you can see that I used the layer mask to adjust it in various places so to create the illusion of light playing across the book. And I ended up rejecting that idea because you see it looks a little bit strange with that extra layer, so I left that turned off and then just used this layer, another fractal image of vaguely magical effects, to apply to the book. Next up is another magical fractal effect to make it look like sort of magic is leaking out the side of the book. I duplicated that layer and reversed it and applied it to the bottom of the book there. And then one final sort of magic trail thing to make it look like the eye in the center of the book is glowing. And that was the final effect I settled on for the book, because see, if I turn on this extra layer here, I thought I'd need that, but it turns out I don't. And if I have that on, it looks a bit strange, but it looks quite a bit better with the cover of the book looking more like dark leather with this layer off. So we're going to leave that off. Next layer is overall color adjustment, because I wanted the color scheme of this book to be, of this ebook cover to be blue text on a green background. So I use this overlay layer set to 25% opacity to give it a general green look, which makes it look like light is sort of leaking from the gem on the cover of the book and the pages on the side. Next up is my last name, which as you can see is down in the author area. And this, the texture for it, let me just disable the clipping mask. And you can see it is in fact a close-up picture of a vinyl fence with a water beading on it. I happened to see that when I was out for a walk and thought it looked really cool. So I took a picture of it and have used that as the cover of the texture for the title and the author name on the covers of the Blades of Ruin book ever since. I just changed the angle and changed the color balance because in real life, obviously this fence would be brown. It's not bright, vivid blue. No one's going to pay for a bright, vivid blue fence around their house. But I just turn it black and white and then adjust the color balance. So let's create the clipping mask back again so it applies it to my last name. And then we have my first name, which has the same sort of texture effect applied to it thanks to that clipping mask. Shadows, which has the same texture. Which the of is small enough that there's no point to using the clipping mask texture I do for the rest of the title and author name elements. So that is just a color match with the blue on there. Then Blade with the same clipping mask. And finally, Blades of Ruin number 2, which indicates that this is obviously the second book in the series. So that is how I went about with creating the ebook cover. It sold at a bit faster pace than the first book in the series, so I think overall the cover turned out pretty good and does what it needs to do. And if you are curious about reading this book, you can find links to it at the various stores in the description of this video. So thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the book and have a good and pleasant day.